everyone. And today we have Andrew King with us for our Coffee and AI podcast. And while I already drank my espresso, hopefully you have some coffee to keep the morning going. But we're going to be talking today a little bit more practical about AI in email. So thank you, Andrew, for joining so much again. And, if you want to say a few words who you are, introduce yourself to our audience, that would be great.
Yeah, thank you, Vassil. I'm Andrew King. I run a website called emaillove.com. We are an email inspiration gallery and providing, content ideas and design inspiration for marketers, designers, and developers. And we have, over 200,000 designs on the site, and we add over 1,000 new emails every day. So come visit us if you are looking for inspiration. And we also build a Figma plugin that lets you go from design to code with one click. And so that's what we do in a nutshell.
It's a very, very, very cool, actually, plugin that we're looking at ourselves. But yeah, thank you for the intro. So why don't we jump right in it? First of all, what's your coffee preference? So because I totally forgot to ask you last time, and I got to send you some. That's what we do with all our guests, by the way. We send them good coffee that you can enjoy.
I did not know that.
Oh yeah. Sorry, that's part of the gig.
Okay, so I'm in the Bay Area like you.
Yep.
I don't know if you know Sightglass, but I'm a big fan of Sightglass.
Okay.
Coffee. I think they do a great job, and I'm a big espresso. I make lattes, cortados. I'm on the espresso Reddit group. So
oh, wow.
Okay. Every morning I'm practicing my latte art, and I'm pretty I'm pretty obsessed with that actually. I have my copy right here in a children's cup.
My daughter got me this little espresso cups from Australia that is like a children's cup. It is so cute, and I use it all the time. But my main espresso machine broke, so now I either have to go to my van where I have an espresso. In my van, you have to have an espresso, of course, there. So I'm also a little bit obsessed with drinking my espresso. So, but anyway, today I kind of drank some other stuff, unfortunately, but it is what it is.
It'll get the job done, I'm sure.
It will get the job done. It was still a hardcore Italian, coffee, but not the same. Anyway, so that put away, what are you seeing when it comes to AI and email? Because email has been the longest engagement channel. It is the biggest engagement channel still in North America by far, or the biggest amount of money is being spent by marketers, at least, and brands in it. But what are you seeing with AI and that works, that doesn't work? What's your opinion? Because you live and breathe in email yourself, and you guys.
So there's a really wide spectrum of like what people are doing, like from the most basic, just writing copy or editing copy, to writing subject lines or giving you additional subject line ideas. And I think most people are doing that today. Yep. At least to like improve or like give them ideas for how to like create their content for their emails. And then the other end of the spectrum is fully using AI to like generate a complete email from, images, the copy, everything. And I think the adoption of those tools is not like super high yet. And to be honest, I don't know if those tools are quite there yet in terms of creating high quality content and photography and images and everything. Like I think maybe at some point in the future, maybe that is something that AI can do. But right now I think it's more the other end of the spectrum where people are, currently using AI just to kind of improve their workflow. It's definitely making them faster. It's, giving them a bit more time to think about strategy, whereas in the past they may have been, spending a lot more time writing subject lines, coming up with ideas and stuff like that. So right now it's more of a productivity tool more than anything.
And when, obviously you guys are doing this a lot and using, like you said, Figma to create the content and then convert it from Figma design to an HTML, I'm assuming, for those emails. Any use of AI there as well to fine tune things, to A/B test, but one concept versus another is I've seen AI primarily when it comes to this. Yes, you can use it for subject lines where everything started, then the copy itself, some of the images or backgrounds around an image. When it comes to product images, obviously you can do even videos and things like that, but going back to email itself, the biggest, I think, use case that I've seen is A/B testing, making sure that you have which copy, which email is getting more traction, one versus another, as well as using AI in a way of the actual journey, fine-tuning the time, obviously the channel we kind of know, but the time in this case of what are you going to send, and then this with different people.
I have seen tools that do that. Maybe your products do this.
We do. Everybody kind of does some of it.
I personally, maybe you can speak to it. I personally have not used that myself. And I think a lot of people are hesitant to hand some of that stuff over to AI at this point. Just because, there are tools obviously that can, basically optimize everything for you. Like it's like, oh, this person is going to receive this email and this is the copy that we're going to use. I personally think the adoption of those features is still fairly low, but I think it will get there. I think you'll see a lot higher adoption of that in the future. Right now, I have not seen a huge adoption of it personally. A lot of the emails that we receive are obviously not like generated with AI in that way. So I think that, and we receive, like I said at the start, we receive over 1,000 emails a day. We upload them to our website, so we see a lot of what's going on. And I think right now a lot of it is still kind of same as what people were doing before. Maybe the segmentation is something I have seen, like segment AI used in segment generation. Although I've also seen that not work very well. Like I don't know if you've ever tried to create a segment with AI and then it doesn't quite get there. So I think there's a little bit of frustration with the current AI tools.
If you kind of think about it, everybody thinks about AI and segmentation specifically, that in an ideal world, it should be one-on-one personalization. So there is no clear segmentation. It's a segmentation of one. And then you build all the content, the journey, and everything around that one person. So it's this kind of decisioning engine that needs to figure out on the fly what to do depending on your actions and triggers and so on, behavior. But the actual segmentation, I guess you can look at it, otherwise I see, who's churning, who's not churning, who's your top performer, who's not, and then sending different type of offers and campaigns around that. I've seen it work, and I've seen it work well, but again, it depends, I think, on your overall marketing stack. It's not just email, but everything else. And email is just one of the channels where AI plays a role in figuring out, again, who you are, what is the campaign that you're going to do, and then at what time, and what is the going to be offer, and then it's going to look at what is the right channel. My wife does not open emails. She has not opened emails forever. SMS, she's going to open every one of them. Social, she's going to open some of them. But like my daughter and my son, I'm like, hey, did you guys check the email? Oh, Dad, I don't read those emails anymore. So it's like there is a big change also in a generational thing where kids are like trying to get them like, did you do something with that email that you were sent? No. You have to remind them on SMS in order to go to open the email. It is very resonating.
Yeah, definitely. In terms of like what we are building, we actually don't have AI right now. We are starting to add it to our tools. The first one being code optimization. So we use an email framework called MJML, and sometimes that can create quite heavy code just the way that it's generated. And so we are looking at using AI to, instead of minify the code, we're looking to use AI to make it more lightweight. So it's kind of our first thing that we are going to launch. And then the bigger vision for our product would be uploading a brief into the Figma plugin and connecting it with Asana, Monday.com, Notion. So basically the places where marketers are planning their campaigns. And the idea would be they create their brief for a campaign, we ingest it through AI, and then we generate the first version of the email. So pulling in their images, their links, their copy. We wouldn't be writing it for them or doing any of that. It would just be basically, creating that first version so that it's going to cut down their production time, kind of get them 60 to 70% of the way there. And that's, obviously that's like very different to like what you're talking about with where the AI is like creating everything for you. And obviously I don't know where our tool lives in that ecosystem, or even maybe it doesn't have a place if AI is doing everything for you.
No. So there is definitely, again, in certain areas and certain verticals or certain layouts. I mean, first of all, whether you use AI or not, it's still work is out what level and where AI is going. And that's how we get this conversation. What is hype versus reality? And while many people talk, oh yeah, you can use all the Gen AI thing to create content and everything else, we've also seen some crazy things where AI created content that later on is extremely controversial, and it shows up in a whole bunch of not just Reddit groups or LinkedIn posts, but it can be even on national television because nobody screwed up so bad. And whether the offer was 90% off, and somebody was able to buy a ticket off here that made for $20 versus $1,000. It's like AI can do a lot of damage if it's not used proper. So we're still learning, and still the wording is still out. And at the last conference I went, both at the Gartner and Forrester, the biggest concern that everybody had and the biggest feedback is like, where the real use cases? Show us more use cases of where AI is used that people are saying return. And it's way too early. It's still way too early. People have been playing with it, but like you said, many customers, many brands, many tools are still not really pushing it as much because it's risky, or end users are not comfortable with it, and they're using other tools to build whatever they need to build. So it's still, the verdict is still, not one way or the other of where we're going to be with that, for sure, especially when it comes to email.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I can tell you one thing that we implemented. We actually did a YouTube video on this recently where we have a newsletter. So if you haven't signed up, go sign up for that. Just an email of newsletter. And what I did was when someone fills out our preference center, I then I created a Zapier like Zap or like workflow where that data was then uploaded into a GPT, and then analyzed. And then I had the GPT create a personalized message for that person based on the data they gave me, and then had it send it from my personal Gmail account. So basically trying to create some like one-to-one like messages in an automated way that was super relevant, and just like, hey, I noticed that you're a life cycle marketer in the US or wherever you are, and here's some interesting like content on email based on what I know about you. And people would reply, and I would see what the AI actually generated, and I was like, oh my god, this is like so embarrassing. Like, this is written poorly. I mean, maybe I can improve the prompt to like get a better quality output, but that's just one example of something that's a little bit more sophisticated, but I still personally wouldn't have sent that email copy.
Yeah. It's interesting. I remember being at a talk at Stanford, and they had one of the early Xerox or IBM researchers. I can't remember which one. And they were telling us a story how in the early days when they were kind of experimenting with some stuff, they made the AI make spelling mistakes on purpose in order to make the content more realistic, which was very interesting, because we all want to have like perfect written emails and pretty and everything else, but then they're too perfect, and people catch it. And at my previous company, I said we need to have a stamp on everything that's AI generated and let people know. I've been talking about it for like years about it. And now more and more on many of the platforms, if you create content on Instagram or YouTube, they're forcing you and asking you, was this AI generated or not? Because it could be so real and it can confuse people. And yeah, it's on one hand, it's too good. On the other hand, it's not perfect. On the other hand, you need to try to make it not be perfect.
So do you flag on like your blog that something is AI generated, or are you currently doing that? Because that's an interesting idea. The reason I ask is yesterday could do is create some blog posts, and I am using AI to help generate it. But what I did is I recorded a Loom video of what I wanted to say in the blog post, and it was like a 20-minute long, like rambling, like not super coherent, like video. I then copied the transcript into I use Claude for writing. So I copied it into Claude, and then it said to it, turn this into a blog post, write it in my style. And I think it created like quite good content because it's fully based on like my transcript of what I'm talking about. So there's like it's like it is AI generated, but it's also higher quality because it's my original thoughts and ideas.
I think that there is a segment of users out there that are geeks like us that would appreciate if they know to what degree the content is AI touched. Again, people are using AI in many different ways, and I think we need to use it. We have to use it in today's world in order to be more productive, in order to get more data and analyze things. But at the same time, I do appreciate when people are being open about, hey, maybe this image or this was, with the help of AI. I'm interested just because I want to know what everybody else is using from that standpoint. And if you can pretty much tell if somebody's just using AI still, but soon that is going to go away. And at that point, I definitely want to see is this marked or not, because would I want to just listen to an AI person or twin, or do I want to have a much rather have a conversation or use the content of a real person? Like, yes, you're right. These are your thoughts and everything else, and to some degree, this could be used. But there are people that are just loading all their videos from before, all their emails, all everything, and then they're saying, generate all this content for me. Just because AI can generate a lot of stuff doesn't mean that in the end of the day, everything that the AI is going to say and publish is going to be your thoughts. At some point, it's going to start going and using some other content. And at that point, some of the messaging may get distorted. I don't know. That's kind of how I feel.
It's going to be AI slop, basically.
Yes, it will be an AI swap. Yeah. And then you're going to have to go and write up another or post another message and apologize. And at what point are people going to start unsubscribing to you if the content is not to the quality that you want your content to be? And you want AI. Or another hand, it may be that we're going to become so comfortable with AI twins that we are not going to care, but maybe then my AI twin is going to watch your AI twin and send me a summary of what I should be, paying attention to. And so you can get into this little, motion of the future that where AI is controlling everything and we're just kind of sitting on the side and watching it. I think that's going to be a bad day. But
yes, I hope that it doesn't get to that. I mean, if you go on like YouTube, there's like so many like scare-mongering videos of, by 2027, AI will have taken over and, we won't have any jobs left because AI will do everything for us. But I hope that's not what happens. And it's more of a productivity tool where humans are still involved. And personally, I don't want to listen to AI generated music. I know I saw some story recently where it was like some AI musician gets paid $1 million, or I don't know if you saw this, it gets paid millions of dollars for their music or for the rights to their music. And I'm like, well, even if it's good, because I guess it could create good music, I don't want to listen or read books or watch AI generated movies personally. I think, hopefully humans push back on that stuff and prefer human created, content. And
my son is in the film industry, and we have this conversation all the time. Like, you need to get some more training on AI because that's coming and taking your jobs away. And I have a lot of friends in the industry, and he's like, yeah, it does, but it's not the same. And the real filmmakers are still gonna do real actors, real shooting for a long time. And I agree with him because when you think about, again, what you did with your content, right? You put a lot of thought behind it, and AI went and generated something based on your thoughts. But you can do this only so many times. And the creativity that we have as humans, whether you're creating an email, whether you're painting, whether you're creating a movie, are human. And AI is just copying us and regenerating things based on prompts that we have. And I think there will be interesting content out there generated with the help AI or completely with AI. But you're right. I mean, I wouldn't mind watching some of those and see how they are. But in the end of the day, I also don't want to give all this power, and I want to actually give more power to humans at the end of the day, their creativity, because otherwise, where are we going to go?
Yeah, exactly. It's a scary future if AI is creating all of that creative content.
Going back to email.
Yeah.
So Obviously, you can create content and subject lines and the images, but in the end of the day, you need to have the right messaging there. You need to work with other people to create this content that is around certain campaigns, around certain messages, around certain products. So you need to communicate and collaborate with others and make sure that they look good, that they work, and everything else. And while AI can help you with certain things and help you maybe optimize some of those steps, we still, I think, in agreement that the majority still needs to be done by humans. Otherwise, it's not going to be in the same quality, or it may backfire, or it could do many other things. So,
Mhm.
what are you telling your customers? What are you planning to do, if anything, to deal with this in the future?
Yeah, we're not really, to be honest, like for our Figma customers, we're not even talking to them about AI like this. And they're
Yep.
actually not even asking me about it. I think
It,
some of them maybe assume that there's some AI in the background. And actually, this is a really interesting thing is I think some companies are using AI as their differentiators. Like, we have AI, like this is
yeah.
obviously going to be good. For us, we don't have AI. We're selling a product in this AI hype cycle that doesn't use it right now. Obviously, we are going to add it, but um, we are just more like integrating into and optimizing their current workflows with our tool. And they're obviously using AI in the back end as a, for writing the briefs, writing the copy, generating images. But yeah, it's really interesting because it's not something that has come up. And I was talking to my co-founder about this yesterday, actually, is when we do have AI, do we change our positioning and our messaging on our website? Do we now say AI-enabled email love Figma plugin? And I think the answer is no. It's more about, I think in the future, you don't care if it's AI or not. You just care about what it can do for
Yep.
you. So whether that's AI or not AI, I think we're in this hype phase where everything is, you think everything is AI, but it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. It's more about like what's the end result, what's the benefit of that tool.
Yep. I had a conversation recently with the Forrester analyst Shar, and she's kind of the queen of email, reports and waves. And I kind of had the same question with her. And what she told me is that while there are still questions about people, asking about AI, how to create better copy or, more creative, a lot of her customers are asking, hey, how do I make my email look better? How do I make sure that my email opens in the right mailbox, gets delivered first, more so than anything else?
Different.
And that's the majority of the inquiries that she was getting at. And while there's still people asking about AI and the hype is still there, people are still just trying to figure out, hey, with all this spam, with all this technology that is summarizing your emails and your messages on your phone. I don't know if you've played with the new operating system for iOS. It summarizes even more. At least now it asks you, hey, do you want to summarize? And then after 2 days, it comes back and like, you want me to continue summarizing your emails? Um,
I
so
personally don't like that. Like
yeah,
whenever Gmail tries to give me a summary, I'm like, I don't want to read the summary. I want to read the actual email. I don't know if it's just me, but that's been my behavior personally.
it's interesting. I'm turning it on and off and playing around with it to see from a technical standpoint what it looks like. And it's different for push notifications, and it's different for emails, and it's different for text, and so on and so on. So I'm still playing. Verdict for me is still not out there. But then when you open in Gmail, for example, emails, it prioritizes and summarizes important emails and puts the summary of important ones up on the top. And then you have promotional and commerce and updates separately on top of that. So there is just so much emails that the technology, even right now, is trying to help you. But at the same time, if you're a marketer, um, those emails are going to go into some kind of folder if they're promotional, and people may never see them. So that I think is what this analyst was basically talking about. That most brands are worried about this more than anything.
I
Deliver,
mean,
make
probably
sure people
it
open
comes
it.
down to like good quality content at the end of the day,
Yes,
right? Like send
yeah,
people what they want to receive and stop
exact.
spamming them with stuff that they don't want is probably the answer to that, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So this is interesting. Where do you see, you know, things going from here? Like you said, you guys are concentrating to make sure that things work, that things are well integrated, that people have access to creative tools that help them create better, messaging in the end of the day that looks better. Is there some other tools that you guys are using that marketers are kind of interested in that helps them create or manage and collaborate around campaigns?
There's a few tools out there that, and I just wanted to talk about this. It's not something that I'm using, but there's a few tools that will fully do the email creation process, kind of like what I discussed before, where it'll, you'll give it your brand, your website, and then it will generate. You click a button, and it will generate a newsletter for you.
Yeah.
And you do that, and you're like, oh, I would never send that to my customers. But I think the lower end of the market, if you're a one-person Shopify store, or you're a very small startup, or there's these like very low end of the market, what I think is happening is those companies are, or like those small businesses are adopting some of those tools first.
Yeah.
Because they don't have time to think about the design. They're probably not designers. They're probably not that precious about how the email looks. And so I think what's interesting is the lower end of the market is adopting some of the more complex use cases first, whereas the enterprise end is stuck in their ways. They're worried about uploading stuff to AI. And they have, designers and large marketing teams that, are trying to integrate AI in more conservative ways. So I think, the low end of the market is actually where you're seeing more innovation. And by low, I just mean like small businesses,
Adoption.
not like the Fortune 500 companies. They're not using that stuff, which I think is really interesting. And I've seen it more like around like the e-commerce, like Shopify ecosystem.
Sure.
So yeah, so it's some tools that I've played with. I personally wouldn't like use them to like generate emails for email love to send, because I think people would be like, what is this? This is not something that I would, want to receive. But that's where I'm seeing some innovative adoption. Unfortunately, it's also being adopted by like in the B2B cold outreach space. So I'm sure you receive these emails that are obviously using AI to like scrape your data and then generate a message and then email you 5 times, or like even like LinkedIn, I think messages are often like this.
Yeah.
Where it's obviously being like fully automated with AI, but it's not in a good way. It's in a I'm going to try to contact 1,000 people per day, and maybe one of them will respond to this message that's kind of obviously written by AI.
I'm starting to create like an image of you as being the email artist, because you're looking at this in a way of how somebody that is very much in love with email and taking it very personally, what AI is doing to email and what is good and what is bad. And it's really interesting to hear your opinion compared to somebody that is just the brand marketer that is just need to write the email. I mean,
Yeah.
that's your bread and butter, and you've been doing this for a while.
And maybe that's the problem. I've been, doing this for 20 years, so maybe I'm also stuck in my ways. And I mean, I still have Dreamweaver installed on my computer, so
no.
that'll give you an idea of like how old I am. And now I don't use it that much, but
I also, for some reason, I'm kind of looking at your image here, and I'm also the way you look is almost like the Van Gogh, a little bit look you have. So, putting this together, you're like the Van Gogh of email for me right now.
So it's funny. At a company, I once dressed up as Van Gogh for Halloween, and I won the company costume contest. I had like a frame and like a bleeding ear.
Oh my god, that's too funny. That's too funny. Now, do you see difference in how people are doing emails in the US versus Asia or South America? Are you seeing any differences in regional, or you just kind of mentioned B2B versus B2C emails and the use of AI, but any different type of adoption from around the world or different industries?
Yeah, I think the US is still probably the leader when it comes to the AI adoption. I think EU is definitely more conservative and worried about obviously the data side of things, and probably a little bit slower to adopt some of these AI features is what I've seen. And I think South America, like LATAM, and even in APAC are also behind the US, like they always have been, and they're still very much doing things in the more traditional way. I have spoken with some larger companies in Australia where they have, there was this marketing team that I'm thinking of. They were like, we want to do everything with AI, and they know that they're not going to do it yet, but their vision would be to get AI doing most of the production and everything for them. And this is a large tech company in Australia.
Okay.
And it's interesting because it's also well, what are you guys going to be doing if AI? Are you going to be kind of outsourcing your job to AI? Which is kind of funny, but I think there's a lot of people who have that vision, but this is still quite far from it. And definitely the US is, from what I've seen, is probably the leader when it comes to actually implementing some of these things.
What is your take on interactive emails? We've been playing with AMP emails and stuff like that. What are you seeing there yourself?
So two sides. I love them myself. If I receive one, I'm like, oh, I want to play with it. But I'm a nerd. I want to see. I want to look under the hood and see how it works. And I definitely appreciate receiving them. Do I think they're effective or worth the time to actually build them? Personally, no. And like I said, we receive a ton of emails on emaillove.com. Almost none of them have AMP. The adoption of AMP is so low, in my opinion, overall. If you're looking at all the emails sent, the number that have AMP is so small. It's also too hard to actually implement AMP. If Google wants to drive adoption of it, they would make it easier to actually get verified and actually build these AMP emails. And I know there are some tools out there that help you do it, but I think a lot of it is kind of gimmicky, and you're probably better off investing in personalization and improving the content of your emails rather than adding a cool sliding carousel or I think there are some use cases that are really interesting and useful, a survey inside of an email. I think is a good one.
Yeah,
but a lot of it is I think I posted an email earlier this year of it was from Nissan, how you say it in America. And it had a carousel, the car colors. So you could click a button and change the car from blue to yellow to red. which like super cool from a nerdy perspective, but I don't even know if end users know to do that. Like the average person receiving that email doesn't necessarily know that they can click on those colors and then have the card change color. So I think that's part of the problem, is like the average email user isn't used to receiving an interactive experience in their inbox.
So adoption is one main issue, and second is how hard it is to actually set up the tools for creation of the content. In your opinion?
Yeah, I mean, for AMP, you have to actually, I believe, you could correct me, but I believe you have to go through Google to actually get verified to be able to send AMP emails in the first place. And then you've got to actually have the team that knows how to build the interactive content. So it's not an easy...
Or you need to be like associated, like your vendor needs to be, I think, reseller of the AMP thing.
Yeah, and there are vendors that make it, that do make it easier, and you can do it. But
I believe we do, by the way. But
you guys are probably Sorry if I don't want to like
no.
Say it's a.
This is not a sales thing. I'm asking for your professional opinion about what works, what doesn't, and it's interesting. I've seen, for example. I remember I was working for another like 2-3 companies backwards, and we had a very large customer in Indonesia that I think bought Uber. I think it was called Grab, and Grab was like a delivery business. And it was interesting, in order for the Grab drivers, whether they were actually a motorcycle, whatever, the first thing they have to go and, set up their accounts on the app. Well, guess what? They didn't have emails. So they would give them a piece of paper, and step one was create a Gmail. And because everything else, they were just doing SMS over there. But the app was not set up for that. So there is very interesting things from region to region about use of certain technology, whether that's email, push, WhatsApp, or LAN, or whatever.
What I've heard in China is they have a all-in-one app, and it's just basically an app for SMS, email.
Yeah, the super
app. They do everything on this one app.
Yep.
I don't know what it's called, but like that's what I've heard. Is the
right now it's out of my head, but I know exactly what we're talking about. This is the super apps. I think not Tesla, but the Twitter guy wanted to create one with Twitter to be like super apps to do everything else. Which, okay, whatever. But yeah, in China, that's exactly what they do. And again, email is not as big of a thing for them, but AI is actually the Chinese, because of the lack of, well, they have different rules and different regulations, but there is no restrictions, and privacy is in a different way used. But over there, AI-driven content is insane. It is absolutely insane. So,
So they're ahead in terms of their AI usage and like the use cases. I haven't seen it personally.
AI automation it's on another level. And the people that I've talked to that are using some of those tools, because I don't know Chinese, I don't use any of those apps, but the way they've told me is like, you guys are so
far behind.
Not you. But because they use those super apps, they have everything, all the information for you, and then they use that information to then generate better personalization and engagement. But they also are using certain gamification or certain things in ways that we're, again, years behind. I mean, when you think about, live shopping, they've been using live shopping for years, and it's the biggest thing. Here, it's still, okay.
Yeah, like you mean like shopping on like TikTok or something like this,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly.
Where, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I
So,
think which is like starting to get traction over here.
but it's
Uh,
2025. They've been using
yeah,
it for,
yeah,
I don't know, 6, 7, 10
yes,
years. I don't know what it is.
right,
It's
right.
it's nuts. Um, anything else? What keeps you
I'm
up at night?
interested in. So there's
Oh,
this
good.
concept of AI becoming sentient, and people are saying like in a few years AI will be able to like think for itself. Is that like what do you think about that, and how do you are you concerned about that? Like, what can we do as like marketers and like builders of products if
The-
AI, which it sounds like it's just a matter of time more than a if it will.
So this is the thing, right? AI is now, we are still trying to get AI on the phone, right? Um, and it's just slightly getting there. Once the AI gets on the chip of the phone or is on, on your smart glasses, and then they have little devices that are here connected with you, and you have AI on your watch and everything else, they're going to start collecting a lot more data about you. And they're going to know a lot. I mean, there's already a lot of data, from your, how much you're walking, how much you're running, how much you're sleeping, to what you're buying, what you're reading, what you're watching, and everything else. Um, this is kind of where I'm more concerned about how the data is being used, because the AI then is going to make decisions based on that. So I think the privacy, I think, is more of a concerning of the data. And then you look at the amount of money that everybody is throwing in this from the big companies, Twitter, Google, Meta, now TikTok, which is going to be controlled by Larry Ellison and everybody else. And it this is to me more concerning of how all that data is going to get used and how it's being shared, and where do I have a say or not say of what that is going to do. Whether the AI is going to start thinking for me, we're not there yet. But what do I know? We'll see where we are in 2, 3 years. The technology is just rapidly evolving, and it has surprised me in a way in many cases. But I think that there may be readjustments because we're seeing the good, the bad, and the ugly little by little. And it may backfire. We'll yet to see, but hopefully we get a little bit more brains and start using it for helping us more than replacing us, because that's where the scary part is more than anything else.
Right. Exactly. Maybe there'll be some GDPR style laws that come into effect at some. I'm sure in Europe around like
Yeah.
the usage of AI and
Yep.
all the data that they're collecting on you, right? Because there's got to be something around that. And
Uh,
right now there's nothing, so that's
yeah.
kind of the scary part.
Yeah. And but the other thing is that, well, one of the things that I'm trying to do is to kind of talk to people, especially in our company, is to get broader AI, first of all, education, and transformation in a way that everybody understands the good, the bad, and ugly of AI. Everybody has the right tools to use, because if we don't, others that are using AI will bypass us. And I'm not talking about, again, generating the content, but analyzing data, building better
Yeah,
tools, like you
just
said.
uploading your financials into ChatGPT and
Yeah, exactly. So I think that there is just, you need to know, hey, when you do this, by the way, you have no idea who else has access to it and how that's going to get shared with somebody else. Or if somebody can figure out your handle of your AI buddy, could they get access to it?
yeah,
Because there is
yeah,
so much things that we still don't know about some of those tools and how they're being used, or who do they have contracts with on the side? And so everybody needs to be careful. But then when it comes to the brands, again, they need to worry about privacy, security, compliance of that content, where it's being shared, where it's living, how much power in water is your data center using? I mean, those are things that we need to start thinking about because in the end of the day, it's not just about AI, but it's about, are we going to have uh, a planet for
Yeah,
AI
we're
to live
gonna
on?
AI is just gonna use all of our energy, all of our resources to.
I mean, it's scary when you think about that. People are using AI for everything, and every time you do this, there's a lot of power and water that is being used behind it for all that cool video and everything else. And it's getting worse, and it's the big companies buying all that power and everything else. We need to think about this as well. And I think there's going to be AI environmental reports that companies going to have to start producing soon, um, especially if you're a European company, maybe. I don't know about the US, but you know what I mean. So it will be very, very interesting. This has been cool. This has been an interesting conversation. We started, with a very concrete kind of things about email and AI, but we went a little back left and right because I think this technology and where we are, needs us to think about outside that box that we're in, whether that's an email box, marketing box, brand box, startup CEO box, or whatever we are in. And it's good to have different perspectives and um, you know feedback on this, whether that's good, bad. It all needs to be out there for other people to be aware because not everybody thinks about this all the time. So
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting few years. I think the next probably 5 years are going to be super telling, and maybe we can chat again at some point just to revisit what's happened. And
we should, yeah, absolutely. I would love to see where this is and see whether any of this is really taking shape in a different way than what we thought. Because everybody has been hyped about AI. But again, where are the real results? And with agents and everything else, we're building agents and multi-agents and everything else. But I think that the adoption by the marketers and then calculating and measuring all the benefits of this are gonna help everybody decide to what level is this worth it. There's still people that are in industry that are analysts. They're like, yeah, be careful. And others like AI. And then it's like, who do you, trust? And, that's why we need to see some results first, I think, to make sure that that does happen.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
Cool. Andrew, it has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for joining. And I look forward to having a follow-up conversation. And maybe we need to get to San Francisco and have a real coffee in person and just talk about, music or coffee only.
Definitely. Let's go meet at Slight Glass Cafe, and I'll catch you there. And I'm going to be calling myself the Vincent Van Gogh of email from now on. So thank you for that nickname.
I think you should. That's how we're going to probably change the title to the podcast. We, talk with, Coffee and AI with the Vincent Van Gogh of email. That will be, I think, the how we should really call it. But it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for your sharing your experience and your views. I believe that people are going to find it insightful, but let's keep the conversation going.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.